a quick Devar Torah. This is the parsha where Yaakov blesses, among others, Ephraim and Menashe. What? Okay, I thought there was a comment, but that's okay.
You didn't even say anything yet.
Okay. Anyway, this is the parsha where Yaakov blesses Ephraim and Menashe, and he holds them a little bit closer because they have their uniqueness. They were the first Jews, so to speak, to be born in the Galut, which for them, it's a much bigger problem when you're in the Galut than when you're in Israel. Because if you're in Israel, you're surrounded by a Jewish culture, so it's a lot easier. But Ephraim and Menashe grew up in Egypt, sort of like, let's be blunt. There was a holiday last week and this week that you have to be blind, deaf, and dumb not to recognize what it is. And I was asked a number of years ago by a young person in the army in Israel. I was doing reserve duty. This young fellow doing his regular service came up to me and said, I hear in America you have something called Christmas week. What is Christmas week? So I said, it's the week between, and now remember in Israel, you don't say New Year's, say Sylvester. That's how they refer to New Year's. I said, it's the week between Christmas and New Year's. So he said, well, I understand that Rachel is the important person in Christmas. What's Sylvester about? What's New Year's about? I said, wait a minute, how did Rachel get into the story? He said, well, all the Christians are going to Beit Lechem. And of course, if you go to Beit Lechem, you go to Kever Rachel, because he grew up in a real Jewish culture. He didn't know from the whole story of whatever. It's foreign to him. Whereas if you're living in America, you can't help but know it. If you're living in America, in Christian parts of Europe, not the Muslim parts, so to speak. But if you grow up in those places, you know what the day is. And for Joseph, his big thing of raising Ephraim and Menashe was simply he had to give them a Jewish background in a non-Jewish environment. Because remember that he's sitting in the capital of Egypt, running the country, and he has to take care of his two sons, which might have, it's a much bigger problem than say what Yaakov had, because the other 11, they had Yaakov, and they were within a Jewish community. And this stresses the importance of education. As we all know, back in 1962, Look magazine had a big article about the disappearance of American Jews and predicted that by the year 2000, there would be no Jews left in America. They would all assimilate. Well, newsflash, we're here, and Look magazine disappeared before the year 2000. But what Look magazine did not see, and that was the key, they did not see a couple of things. Number one, the beginning of the day school issue, that Jews were setting up day schools to infuse their kids with a Jewish background. And they also didn't see the beginnings of the whole Chabad, Lubavitch movement of sending out shluchim to far-flung places around the United States so that Jews would have, even non-religious Jews, would have a basic knowledge of being Jewish. So the blessing of Ephraim and Menashe tells us the importance of Jewish education on the basic level, and that we should infuse our children with a good stand in Jewish culture. Something to think about.